Magnificent BitTorrent Speed or Half-Baked Magic Beans, published to TorrentFreak July 14, 2019. On July 9th, BitTorrent Incorporated released a much-heralded new version of uTorrent that promises to make downloads faster while earning Seeder's BitTorrent tokens, BTT. The big question is whether it delivers what it promises in the client. Our own initial tests suggest it does not. By now, most people will be familiar with the news that BitTorrent Incorporated recently released a new version of its dominant uTorrent client. The claims are that this will revolutionize torrenting, with people able to earn BTT in exchange for seeding. The plan is that this will make swarms more healthy because there is more bandwidth available. This should in turn speed up downloads, for BTT spending uTorrent users at least. The idea of a torrent client allocating bandwidth to peers via financial discrimination is contrary to the broad aims of the original BitTorrent protocol. As such, it is a divisive and sensitive topic. Nevertheless, we wanted to find out more because if it does work, loyalty to tradition might be a thing of the past. As reported during launch week, all downloaders of the new uTorrent were gifted 10 BTT to bootstrap the system. One way or another, we were determined to make this value change. However, despite extensive seeding of in-demand and low-seeded torrents alike, it stubbornly remained the same despite the client insisting that there were plenty of BTT-enabled peers in the swarms. Meanwhile, crypto-focused people appearing in BitTorrent CEO Justin Sun's Twitter feed were apparently having huge success, raking in more than $1 worth of BTT after seeding dozens of torrents during the first day. This success raised a few eyebrows because one of our sources, who spoke on condition of anonymity, told us July 10th that after running 2 instances of the software, one with 6.5 terabytes seeded and another with 1.1 terabytes downloaded, he hadn't made or lost a penny, with his BTT stubbornly sitting at 10 BTT. Some people just can't catch a break, it seems. Of course, these uploads and downloads have to be made to and from BTT-enabled peers to count, so it's possible, although a little improbable, that not a single uTorrent user with the feature enabled entered any of the swarms being serviced by the expert torrent user mentioned above. However, the crypto-minded Twitter user in Sun's feed was kind enough to hand out some advice, including getting torrents from BitTorrent's own Now index. That felt like a good idea, since users of that resource might be more likely to be running uTorrent with BTT enabled than random torrent users elsewhere, particularly those who prefer open source software rather than the proprietary offering from BitTorrent. To allow us to do some tests over a number of minutes, we needed a reasonably sized torrent from the Now resource. We picked a 416 megabyte file called Live from Brixton and Beyond, since most of the other files were too small to measure beyond a few seconds. Our aim was to find plenty of BTT-powered uTorrent users ready to boost our download speeds, spend some of our own BTT, potentially earn BTT back, and test out exactly how much faster these downloads can go with this new system promising to change the world. To do this, we downloaded the file detailed above 6 times in total, 3 times with BitTorrent speed enabled and 3 times without. Each speed-enabled download was followed by a non-speed transfer directly after to ensure the swarm conditions stayed roughly the same throughout. Each speed download initiated would enable us to see the number of BTT-enabled peers in the swarm prepared to connect to us, the client provides this number, see the promised speed boost, it also provides that, then compare the promised boosts with the results of an equal number of downloads with everything turned off. The rough images below show the following: 1 download reference number at the top, BTT balance, promised speed boost in megabytes per second, number of peers, we allowed this to reach a minimum of 15 before taking a screenshot, followed by the percentage speed boost. Underneath that are 2 further screenshots showing stats from the uTorrent client. The first reveals the download time elapsed with speed turned on, the second with speed turned off. All screenshots of transfers were taken as close to 1 second remaining as possible to show that no transfers were extended beyond the downloading phase, which would distort download times. As the image shows above, 24 BTT-enabled peers wanted to do business with the promise of increasing download speeds massively. However, the download speed increase bar is next to useless as a measurement tool, particularly when a torrent is just starting. And as the final elapsed times show, the speed boost, if there is any at all as a result of spending BTT, is pretty small. So, on to downloads 3 and 4, the first with speed and the second without. Again, it's exactly the same file and as close to the same swarm as possible by executing both transfers immediately after the first batch. The results show that the speed-enabled transfer took 28 seconds less than one without, but given the promises of massive speed boosts when the torrent first started, we can conclude that the figures in the client are misleading at best. So on to downloads 5 and 6 as quickly as possible to ensure a consistent swarm. As the transfer stats for download 5 show, the elapsed time, 6 minutes 16 seconds, is remarkably consistent when compared to download 1, 6 minutes 14 seconds, and download 4, 6 minutes 12 seconds, a testament to the stability of the swarm. It's worth noting that download 4, the fastest of the three, was a test with speed turned off. Importantly, we can also see that during this final test, the results were reversed over the previous one, with the non-speed download, 6, trumping the BTT-powered download 5 by 43 seconds. Finally, we decided to put two torrent clients into exactly the same swarm. One of the clients was uTorrent with speed turned on, and the other was a basic Deluge client. We loaded the same torrent into both and gave uTorrent a small head start, basically the time it took to mouse over to Deluge and trigger the start. This is what uTorrent promised as a boost. As the video below shows, uTorrent managed to connect to many more seeders than Deluge, and the performance of each client differed quite a bit in other areas too. Crucially, however, the downloads in both clients finished within a second of each other. It's important to note that there are many moving parts in any torrent swarm, but the bottom line here is that when a BTT-enabled uTorrent client was placed in a swarm with many other clients with the same ability, it performed no better than one without, despite lofty claims to the contrary. Of course, we should also remind people that with Deluge, in this case, people won't be able to earn any BTT for seeding, but we've already established that the figure of 10 BTT that we began with has never changed since the client was installed. Magic beans? People should taste them themselves before making their own minds up. Perhaps they'll taste better in the future. We'll see.